All right, let's get into it. Today, we are diving deep into the fifth Bridgerton book, To Sir Phillip with Love. And this is the story of Eloise Bridgerton. She's the one who decides, you know what? I'm done with the fancy balls. I'm done with the courting rituals. Instead, she bets her entire future on a stack of letters and a man she has never, ever met. It basically flips the entire Regency romance playbook right on its head.
Everything, and I mean everything in this story kicks off not with a stolen glance or a dance, but with ink, paper, and a massive secret. This is a romance that starts where most of them end, with a marriage proposal between two people who are, for all intents and purposes, total strangers. It's an absolutely massive gamble, built on nothing more than words on a page.
So this very unlikely letter exchange connects two people who couldn't be more different, but who are both incredibly lonely. Over in London, you've got the witty, never at a loss for words Eloise Bridgerton, and then, tucked away in the countryside, you have the quiet, reclusive Sir Philip Crane. They are both trapped, each in their own way, and they are both completely desperate for a change.
And you can really feel the desperation on both sides here. Eloise is 28, and her world feels like it's shrinking. Her best friend, Penelope, just married her brother Colin, and suddenly she feels totally adrift, just restless. Meanwhile, Sir Philip is basically drowning. He's a botanist who loves his plants, he is not a natural father, and he's still living under the shadow of his first wife Marina's deep depression. He doesn't just need a wife, he needs a life raft.
And this is how it all starts. Not with a flirty note, but with a simple, proper letter of condolence. See, Eloise is a fantastic correspondent. She writes to Philip because his late wife was a distant cousin, and it's just the right thing to do. She has absolutely no idea that this one polite little letter is about to change the entire course of her life.
Well, Philip writes back, and Eloise, who is always curious, ends her next letter with this simple question about plants. That small little question, that's the spark. It kicks off a year-long correspondence that becomes Eloise's most precious secret. It's this private little world where she starts to build a picture of the perfect man, all from his words.
And then, the bombshell. Completely out of the blue, Philip makes maybe the most practical, unromantic proposal in history. He's not declaring his undying love, he's making an offer. He invites this woman he's never even seen to his home just to see if they might, suit. And just like that, the romantic man from her letters becomes a very real, very terrifying choice.
So what does a restless, cornered, and secretly romantic Bridgerton do when faced with a choice like that? She takes the single biggest gamble of her life, an act that she knows will lead straight to scandal. In the dead of night, Eloise packs a bag, hires a carriage, and just vanishes. For a woman of her status, this is absolute social suicide. Traveling alone, unchaperoned, to a single man's house, it's unthinkable. But Eloise is tired of thinking. She's ready to act. But of course, reality is never quite as perfect as what's in our heads. The Sir Philip she imagined, this charming, witty guy, kind of like her brothers, is nowhere to be found. The real Philip Crane is moody, a bit of a mess, and totally shocked to see her on his doorstep. And the worst part? He's got kids, 8-year-old twins who aren't just mischievous, they're practically feral.
The twins waste zero time declaring war. They set a tripwire, and Eloise goes down hard. But they pick the wrong person to mess with. This is Eloise Bridgerton. She grew up with 7 siblings. She doesn't cry, she plots. And when Philip sees this wicked little grin on her face and hears her promise revenge, he isn't horrified, he's impressed. For the first time, he sees a woman who might actually be able to handle the chaos of his life. But right as Eloise and Philip are starting to figure each other out, a very large, very loud, and very protective problem shows up. Because you can't run away from a family like the Bridgertons. Not for long. Eloise thought she'd covered her tracks, right? She left this really vague note, hoping it would buy her a few weeks of freedom before anyone even realized she was gone. Oh, but she completely underestimated her family's ability to meddle and their fierce loyalty. Philip's letter, the one with the proposal, is found, and the Bridgerton storm is about to break. And it is immediate chaos. 4 of her brothers, Anthony, Benedict, Colin, and Gregory, ride all night and basically bust down the door at Romney Hall. They find their sister alone with Sir Philip, and they are furious, confused, and ready to defend her honor, probably with their fists. Anthony, being the Viscount, just takes charge, and he gives Eloise an ultimatum, not a choice. Her reputation is in tatters.
So, to save the family name, she will marry Sir Philip. The question isn't if anymore, it's just when. All that freedom she ran away to find? Poof, gone.
Philip is now completely trapped, facing a marriage to a woman he barely knows. So he makes a move just as bold as Eloise's was. He pulls her aside, locks the door, and he kisses her. And it's a passionate, desperate kiss. It's his way of trying to prove to her, and maybe to himself, that this forced marriage could actually work. And that one kiss? It changes absolutely everything.
So that single kiss seals their fate and sends them straight to the altar. But this is no fairy tale wedding. Nope. This is two strangers making a vow, and their marriage is born out of pure convenience, scandal, and obligation.
Thanks to a special license from Anthony, they are married in this tiny, rushed ceremony. There's no romance, no big party, just two people who barely know each other tying their lives together forever. Miss Eloise Bridgerton is gone. Now she's Lady Crane, and she's married to a man whose heart is still a total mystery.
Their first days as husband and wife are just a minefield of awkward silences and things left unsaid. Philip is like a ghost in his own house, still haunted by the guilt he feels over his first marriage. He has no idea how to open up, and Eloise has no idea how to get through to him. And the kids are a constant battle. But amidst all that tension, they discover this incredibly powerful physical chemistry. It's like an escape that gives them a little bit of comfort, even if it doesn't fix their real problems.
So, how in the world does a relationship built on duty and scandal actually turn into a real love story? Well, it's not through some big, grand declaration. It happens in these quiet little moments, in crises and revelations that slowly, one by one, break down the walls between them.
The first crack appears during a family emergency. But the real turning point, it comes from a mix-up where Philip thinks that Eloise is the one who's dying, and without even thinking, he rides his horse into the ground, racing through a terrible storm all night long just to get to her side. When Eloise sees him soaked and absolutely terrified for her, that's the moment she realizes this is more than just an arrangement. And for Philip, that raw fear of losing her just shatters all his defenses. It forces him to finally face his grief for Marina and to admit that he's actually fallen in love with his wife.
And this all leads to the story's incredible romantic climax. Eloise comes home to find these clues that lead her to their bedroom, and when she opens the door, she sees this. Philip, the grumpy, unromantic botanist, has used his life's work, his passion, to say the words he has so much trouble speaking. Hundreds of perfect flowers from his greenhouse, all spelling out his love. He says this one simple thing: words aren't enough, and it is perfect. Their entire relationship started with words, in letters, but their real love story was built on actions, on showing up, on that terrifying ride through the storm. This gesture is his final, beautiful confession. And so Eloise's story leaves us with this really powerful question. It kind of suggests that maybe the foundation of a great love isn't always that lightning bolt love at first sight moment. Maybe, sometimes, it can be built piece by piece from shared secrets, unexpected passion, and the quiet choice to just keep choosing each other, day after day.